Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Well, despite the day's heavy downpour, preparations for tomorrow's inauguration festivities at the Eagle Square, Abuja, are near complete. The decorations are in place, while the technical details have also been worked out. Our correspondent on the ground there, Sulaiman Alede, reports from the Eagle Square that the inauguration ceremonies are not expected to go beyond 1 p.m. on Friday.
It's been raining. First, it started by raining in a part of Abuja, and we thought it wasn't going to get to this part. And lo and behold, the skies opened up, and for some people, it's raining cats and dogs, but I think it's raining hippos, elephants, and hyenas. But quite frankly, you can see the beauty of this particular place, Eagle Square. Is pouring, but it hasn't actually taken off the aesthetic value of this place. Everyone has been walking round the clock. It's just some few minutes before 9 o'clock, and you can see what exactly is happening. A whole lot is happening. The biggest act that will be performing here in this particular event, they're already here, also in the rain, but you really can't believe what is happening. Looking that particular direction, you can see all the chairs all beautifully arranged with a fantastic color of the country, green and white, and that's the podium. And if you look towards some other places, you'll see that we have where the oath will be taken. And of course, you know, I'm not here alone. I had to leave the rain and go with the beauty of the house. It's been fantastic all the way. I know. I have to put that in you so that we can see what exactly is happening. Yes, you have to chuckle on that. But the thing is that this time around, this place has been totally cordoned off. If you have no business whatsoever here, you really can't come to see what exactly is happening.
Our correspondent there, Sulaiman Alede, of course, you also saw Malkwe Ogunwa there on the ground there at Eagle Square, giving us a feel of preparations as we wait for the inauguration festivities tomorrow. Now, as President Goodluck Jonathan's administration prepares to bow out, some human rights activists have rated the country's anti-corruption crusade in the last 4 years as very unsuccessful. According to them, the fight has remained docile in the last 4 years when compared with the momentum it gained 10 years earlier. The next report examines the efforts made in this area.
Prior to his election into office in 2011, President Goodluck Jonathan had promised to make anti-corruption crusade one of the focus of his administration. 4 years down the line, rights activists say that promise was not kept.
The last 4 years of Jonathan's administration has been the most inactive, the most docile period regarding the fight against corruption if you take it from the time the EFCC was founded in 2003. I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart because in the last 4 years, you did not have a large number of politically exposed persons that were arrested and charged.
President Jonathan promised to tackle corruption because corruption has been very endemic in Nigeria's politics. He did make that promise. It is regrettable that that promise was not kept, and Nigeria's rating on corruption actually went down, and perhaps this government built a reputation, very bad reputation in terms of its ability to deal with corruption.
Transparency International had in 2014 rated Nigeria as the 136th most corrupt country in the world and third in West Africa behind Guinea and Guinea-Bissau. While some have blamed the criminal justice system for the corruption, others believe the judiciary made some improvement in dispensing justice in the last 4 years.
The judiciary has been up and doing, especially the highest court of the land, because there are some landmark decisions they have given very recently or delivered very recently, like Boris Shade's case. If you read it, you will know that they are seriously alive to their responsibilities.
Apart from assessing the outgoing administration's performance in fighting corruption, the activists also made suggestions on the way forward.
If a permanent secretary has an estate that is worth about 2 billion naira, or a director has an estate that is worth about 2 billion naira, it should be arraigned and be made to explain how he has come about that. it is not for the state to prove that he has stolen. It is for him to explain the source of the excess.
In the first few months, the Buhari administration must sit down to carry out structural reforms to complement the image and the will to be incorruptible.
Although several governments in the past had promised to fight corruption, not many have been able to demonstrate the will to curb the menace. Many Nigerians are hoping, however, that the incoming government would make the difference.
Well, to get some more perspective on the outgoing administration's performance in terms of the fight against corruption, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a legal practitioner, Mr. Osahon Ihehe. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate this administration's performance in terms of the anti-corruption crusade?
I think I need to lay a foundation before I rate. I think with the e-wallet, Jonathan administration has done quite well with the e-wallet in the Ministry of Agriculture thing about the fertilizer scam. And I also think that the cashless policy of the government, whereby every fund that is moved, is tracked, as it were. If you are not a Dangote and you do a 200 million transaction, EFCC will knock on your door the next day. I think that is also a way of fighting corruption. But having said that, we have seen a number of people, public office holders in the legislature and the executive, being taken to court. We see them, there's so much fanfare when they're taken to court. The bank MDs were taken to court, so much fanfare. But at the end of the day, what happens? You don't ever hear what happens afterwards. I would not like to mention names. A number of people have been taken to court and nothing happens. I think on that basis, on the basis of what he has done with e-wallet, the cashless policy, I think he will get five marks.
Okay, but looking at it in terms of what happens after they're taken to court, etc., what is the problem? What ties the hands of certain governments that come in with such big plans, and then at the end of the day, it sort of fizzles out? What do you think is the biggest issue with it?
I think the main issue is also corruption itself. Because at some point, there's so much noise about, again, some people are actually tried by the press. The press will go to town with so much fanfare, a lot of stories about what happened and what didn't happen. But how much of it is proved in court? That's what you should ask. I think to a large extent, at times some of these things are just a lot of showmanship, a lot of noise, a lot of trial by the press, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. But what I want to see more, that I did not see, is for somebody to be taken to court. We are sure when he got to court, we want to know the exit point, what happened at the exit point, because that is what really deters those who want to be involved in corruption.
Okay, let's look at where we stand globally. We have some statistics here from Transparency International in terms of where Nigeria stands globally. We're 136 in terms of the most corrupt country in the world, but the third most corrupt country in West Africa. Is that really how we're doing, and how do you say, is that how we stand right now?
Before now, I think during the last administration, Ambassador's administration, we're actually second. And if we've gone from second to 136, I think that's an improvement. Then on the West African sub-region, I'm told we are third. That is very bad. That is extremely bad. I think we should, it didn't do much about that, but for us to have gone from second to 136, I think is probably deserves some commendation for that.
Indeed. Okay, well, you heard the report there with human rights lawyers like Festus Keyamo, etc., accusing the administration of being docile, or the most docile in the past 4 years. With that sort of record, and moving on to the new administration, where do you see them heading, and what sort of advice do you give them coming in?
The incoming administration. I want to see the incoming administration do a lot of be fair to all. I want them to be fair to all. If you have to try, if you have to prosecute people who are corrupt, I want to see them prosecute both people in APC and people in PDP. And in fact, any Nigerian that is found to be corrupt, I want that person prosecuted according to law. I do not want them to indulge themselves in abuse of human rights, because to a large extent, you have some, at some point in Lagos, if you went to a particular court, you were sure that that man is 50% at Kirikiri, because the judge will even refuse him bail for very, very bailable offenses. What I think should happen is that people should be found guilty on legal principles.
Okay, let me just take you up on what you said in terms of our position in the world. You know, you said we're not really doing badly. Then why are we still perceived to be corrupt? Even when you travel out of the country, you present your green passport and there's already a red flag. What can we do about the way we are perceived, even though we seem to be making progress, like you say?
Thank God you call it perception. That's what it is. Perception. We need to do more, you know, for us to change the perception. We need to do more internally. You need to see more government people, you know, being sent to jail if they are found wanting. There shouldn't be human rights abuses. There shouldn't be such that there will be some kind of witch hunting. You know, people should be tried, and if they are tried, it should be so clear that this man or this woman is guilty, and that's why he's gone to jail. Right, not because of any human rights or any kind of witch hunting. All
right, legal practitioner Mr. Osahon, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10. Well, we're continuing our analysis on the Goodluck Jonathan administration, and as he hands over power tomorrow, we're still going to do a bit more in that regard. But let's take a quick break now. We'll return for more on the News at 10.